Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ThePackHub's latest packaging webinar, Carbon Reduction Packaging Innovations. My name is Paul Jenkins. I'm Managing Director of UK Packaging Innovation Consultancy, ThePackHub, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our Carbon Reduction Packaging Innovations webinar. We'll cover a brief introduction, which we're doing now, a little bit about the ThePackHub. We're going to break the analysis of the recent packaging innovations into two sections. So a part one, where we look at some recent carbon reduction packaging initiatives from the ThePackHub's Innovation Zone. We'll then be joined by Dirk Endlich and Ali Siddiqui from Elopak, who will be presenting making a conscious low carbon packaging choice decision. We'll then switch back to carbon reduction packaging review part two, and then there's plenty of opportunities towards the end of the session to ask any questions, and we'll provide the answers. So there is a Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom webinar function. So please get your questions in, and we'll do our very best to answer them at the end. So a little bit of the ThePackHub. Most of you will be aware that we have an Innovation Zone platform where we get all our collate all our latest packaging innovations. We've been doing this for the last nearly 10 years or so. I'm very pleased to announce that on Tuesday we will hit 10,000 case studies from around the world, food, beverage, and food, beverage, household, health and beauty, etc., from in development to in market. So a really good resource to keeping up to speed with the latest packaging innovations. We continue to grow the platform, and we've got record numbers for the 2025 as we continue to find new and interesting innovations. We've also got a patent zone platform, which will be officially launching at the beginning of June. We review over 1,000 packaging patents every month and collate the latest, most interesting versions. We're going to have over 1,000 on the platform at the beginning of June, and more information on that. So without further ado, let's look at some carbon reduction packaging innovations. Before I start, actually, it's worth sort of looking at the 5 sustainable package trend areas. We have recycling initiatives, biopackaging alternatives, paperization, refill and reuse, and reduction. And it's fair to say that carbon reduction can feature in any one of these 5 main sustainable packaging trend areas. So first up, we have a Champagne Telmont based in France, and they've launched what is described as the world's first ultra lightweight standard champagne bottle, debuting in the United States with its Reserve Brut on Earth Day 2025 this year. Developed in collaboration with French glass manufacturer Verallia, the new bottle weighs 800 grams, reduction from the traditional 835-gram bottle weight that has remained unchanged for over 2 decades. Champagne Telmont states that this reduction cuts carbon emissions by a modest 4% per bottle without compromising the pressure resistance or visual quality traditionally expected of champagne bottles. Now, this is a real challenge for lightweighting in an industry such as champagne, where the packaging weight is a proxy for quality, and obviously you've got a technical challenge with ensuring that the pressure resistance is maintained. So they've reduced it by 35 grams from 835 grams to 800 in this case. The innovation was designed to be compatible with existing manufacturing lines, eliminating the need for changes to current production processes. Initial production trials began way back in 2022 with just 3,000 bottles, scaling up to 30,000 bottles a couple of years ago to 220,000 bottles last year. According to the company, widespread adoption of the bottle design across the sector could reduce carbon emissions by up to 8,000 tonnes annually, equivalent to the energy used by around 1,000 average UK homes for a year. Interestingly, Champagne Telmont have chosen not to enforce exclusivity on the design, encouraging broader industry use as part of a move towards more sustainable packaging. Next up is Norwegian chemical company Elkem. Through its French subsidiary based in Saint-Fond in the ROM region has launched the production of recycled silicones for use in label applications. The silicones are developed through a chemical recycling process that repurposes Elcom's own manufacturing waste. These products are designed for use as non-stick coatings on glassine paper, a key component in label backing. The recycling method does not require solvents, thereby reducing environmental impact whilst enabling the reuse of silicone materials within the company's operations. The initiative aims to contribute to the reduction of the carbon footprint associated with label manufacturing, a sector traditionally reliant on virgin silicone resources. While current production uses internal waste, Elcom has indicated plans to eventually incorporate materials from external sources to broaden the scope of its recycling system. Next up, we move to the beauty industry, and Apta Beauty has partnered with French dermocosmetics brand Laboratoire SVR to launch recyclable airless bottles for 3 new skincare treatments. The micro airless bottles are made from PE or post-consumer recycled plastic and come in 3 sizes, 15, 30 and 40 ml, designed to protect sensitive dermatological formulations. By carrying out decorative and assembly in-house, SVR avoids additional transport, helping reduce CO2 emissions. Apta's micro technology offers strong formula protection while supporting recyclability, which is increasingly demanded by consumers in all sectors. The packaging's airless design helps prevent contamination and ensures proper dispensing. Next up is from L'Oreal, a brand familiar to us all. They're accelerating the development and deployment of refillable packaging solutions across its brand portfolio as part of a commitment to reduce their environmental impact. Its sustainable packaging strategy is structured around 3 key principles: reducing packaging intensity, replacing impactful materials with lower footprint alternatives, and designing for recyclability. Refills are seen as central to this approach, with notable examples including the Prada Paradox fragrance, which saves 44% glass, 67% plastic, 100% metals, and 61% cardboard when refilled. In 2023, L'Oreal launched a multi-brand refill fountain pilot at Sephora, offering best-selling fragrances for refill at point of sale. To support adoption, L'Oreal is investing in media campaigns, brand storytelling, and training beauty advisors to engage consumers in the environmental and experiential benefits of refilling. Of course, this is an environment where there's a little bit more dwell time in store and people are a little bit more perhaps prepared to do the refill process compared to, say, perhaps food and beverage. Next up, we move to the pet care sector and we move to the United States. And Nestlé Purina Pet Care has collaborated with Berry Global to introduce new recyclable canisters for its Friskies Party Mix cat treats for the US market. The redesigned 20-ounce and 30-ounce canisters are made entirely from mechanically recycled PET, excluding the lid and label. The transition is expected to eliminate over 500 metric tons of virgin plastic per year, resulting in an estimated reduction of 694 metric tons of CO2 emissions annually. The packaging can be widely recycled after use, supporting closed-loop recycling systems and helping to reduce plastic waste. The development process involved collaboration across packaging, material science, operations, and quality assurance teams at both companies, and that's very much the best practice model in terms of developing any new packaging innovation is collaboration across the piece. Aveda, which is an Estee Lauder company brand, has launched a paper-based recyclable sample sachet designed to significantly reduce plastic usage in cosmetic sampling. The development is a continuation of Aveda's collaboration with US supplier Elopak, following a local introduction of the packaging format way back in 2021. The new sachets are made from FSC certified paper and are reported to reduce plastic by over 80% compared to Aveda's standard 10 ml plastic tubes. The paper-based sachet has been engineered to ensure it meets a reclaimable fiber content threshold of at least 80%. The global rollout commenced in February this year, and the development aligns with broader industry movements towards reducing single-use plastics in small format packaging, and they're claiming that the whole activity has reduced their carbon footprint. Next up is an innovation familiar with our two guest speakers who will be talking in a moment. This is Luxley, a farmer-owned dairy cooperative based in Luxembourg, and they've transitioned several of their traditional dairy products into pure-pack cartons supplied by Elopak. The products affected include fresh milk, chocolate milk, creams, and fermented dairy items. The new line produces dairy products in pure-pack scent cartons with screw caps and pure-pack classic cartons. And the move is said to lead to a 46% reduction in plastic usage for 1 litre cartons, compared with comparable reductions across other formats. In addition to environmental considerations, the pure-pack packaging offers improved shelf visibility due to the wave design, and it provides more space for branding and communication. Luxley, which processes approximately 500,000 litres of milk daily in over 480 products, views this investment as aligning with its broader goal of product optimization and carbon neutrality by 2050. Wooler, who are based in Estonia, have announced that it has completely eliminated the use of polyatic acid, PLA, from its wool-based cushioning material. Originally developed to utilize the approximately 200,000 tons of sheep wool waste discarded annually in Europe, Wooler's packaging solution aims to provide an alternative to plastic-based cushioning products such as bubble wrap. The removal of PLA, a bioplastic previously included in their products, is intended to improve the sustainability and circularity of the material by reducing energy consumption and shortening supply chains. Wooler's cushioning material is positioned as a more sustainable solution that aligns with increasing consumer demand for alternatives to conventional plastic packaging. Wooler's approach reflects a broader industry shift towards more circular packaging practices and modest and different changes to reduce the carbon footprint of packaging. Next, we move back to the UK with the Quorn brand, and they've announced the removal of printed carton sleeves from 4 of its meat-free products. The change involves replacing the sleeve with surface printing directly onto the top web, and the addition of a base label enabling the use of existing production lines with only minimal equipment adjustments. The move reduces packaging material by approximately 20% per SKU and eliminates the need for energy and water-intensive carton board production and recycling processes. Quorn estimates that the change has cut its annual carbon footprint by around 87,000 kilograms of CO2, equivalent to the emissions from approximately 424,000 road miles. In addition to reduced paper use, the switch to lighter and more compact packaging formats contributes to lower fuel consumption during transport. And last up, before we hear from Elopak, is from Aldi, and they've become the first UK supermarket to launch its own label wine in an aluminium bottle, introducing a significantly lighter alternative to standard glass packaging. The new 95-gram aluminium container is nearly 75% lighter than a typical glass wine bottle, which generally weighs around 400 grams. This weight reduction enables substantial logistic efficiencies, with Aldi estimating transport savings of over 5 tons per truckload. Developed in collaboration with Broadland Drinks, the packaging innovation aims to reduce the carbon footprint of wine by targeting the largest contributor, its container. The use of aluminium, which is both recyclable and less energy intensive to transport due to its lighter weight, reflects broader efforts to decarbonise the beverage industry and support supermarket level sustainability. Okay, so that's the first section of what I think of what hopefully it demonstrates is just the vast range of different initiatives that are or ways to develop carbon reduction, albeit sort of lightweighting, refill and reuse, paperization, etc. So without further ado, I would be delighted to introduce you to Dirk Endlich and Ali Siddiqui, who will be discussing, their presentation is called Making a Conscious Low Carbon Packaging Choice. So over to you guys. If you can share your screen, please. Perfect.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Paul, for having us here and giving us the opportunity to tell a little bit about our success story from bringing our traditional pure pack, and you showed the fantastic example of Luxley in Luxembourg, also now to the home and beauty care market. My name is Dirk Endlich. I'm with Elopak since 1999, so quite a long time, and pretty familiar in the industry. So when you have a question afterwards, or you would like to go deeper into this topic, you find me on LinkedIn. Just send me a direct message, and we can connect. All right. So we are exploring in the next, let's say, 15-20 minutes how Elopak's fiber-based packaging is one of the most meaningful ways in which you can make your product offering more sustainable. Paul, you talked about the champagne bottle that is reducing the carbon footprint by 4%, which is, I believe, in an existing pack.
Yes.
Which is 20 years on the market unchanged. This is quite a technology achievement. We can offer to reduce the carbon footprint by 80%. So, and I hope this sets a little bit the base for the presentation, and we can help you or your brand to reduce the carbon footprint. All right, next page, Ali. But first, a little bit about Elopak. So we are a global supplier of carton packaging and filling equipment and services, and we are recognized as the leader in gable-top cartons. Our story started in Norway with our iconic PurePack carton that you just saw at the example from Luxley for food and beverages, which is today the #1 in fresh applications. But more recently, we have used this experience to create our ThePack offering, initially targeting liquid applications for the home and personal care categories. At Elopak, we have focused on innovation and sustainability for a long time. So sustainability is absolutely central for Elopak. It is somehow in our DNA. And as our CEO, Thomas Comendi, puts it, it is nothing something we do, it is something we are. The initiatives we have taken over the years and the commitments we have made are a testament of this. For instance, Elopak was also one of the first companies in the world to formally pledge to cutting emissions in line with the criteria set by Science Based Targets initiative. So sustainability is central to all what we do, but so are our packaging solutions. Elopak is a full system provider. So if you want a one-stop shop where everything is developed to leave your products unchanged until it reaches the consumer. To achieve this, we are working in partnership with our customers, with own brand manufacturers and co-filling partners. And as part of our complete packaging solution, we offer technical service with lifetime support for seamless operations. With Elopak, you get a partner that you can trust. And it is with this trust in mind that together with a couple of early adopters in the home and personal care segment, we took ThePack to the market to cut plastic, to cut carbon. Ali, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dirk. So I'm also part of the same team as Dirk, that is promoting our ThePack packaging solution. And Dirk has given a little bit of a presentation or overview about Elopak and our sustainability profile. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more into our ThePack packaging solution and share with some facts why we believe that our solution is indeed superior from a sustainability perspective compared to some of the alternatives out there. So let's start off by first of all looking at the actual plastic content. And why looking at plastic and content is important is because you probably are aware that a number of brands that you are looking after yourselves, as well as a lot of the supermarkets out there, have set themselves plastic reduction targets. So in that context, looking at the amount of plastic that your packaging is delivering is quite important. And when you look at our ThePack carton, for example, if you take the 1 liter package, we only have 8.9 grams of plastic contained in the lining as well as the spout and the closure. So those are the main areas where you have plastic. When we look at that as a percentage of the overall carton weight, which by the way is also a lightweight package compared to a lot of the HDP or PET bottles that you might find in use in the home and personal care segment. So it's only 30 grams of is what a 1 liter package weighs. And 70% of that is actually fiber-based, originating from sustainable fibers from sustainably managed forests. And actually, there is an opportunity to increase the renewable content by replacing the plastics from fossil-based sources and using bioplastics, which are also actually originating from either forest-based sources or recycled vegetable oils. When we compared the plastic content with HDP bottles, you can see that a typical 1 liter HDP bottle in the UK market is about 70 grams and PET bottles are 45 grams. So you can see that there is an anywhere from 80 to 90% reduction possible in the amount of plastic that you're utilizing in a 1 liter package. However, what we also see is becoming increasingly popular as a refill solution is plastic pouches. And Paul just showed a recent innovation done by L'Oreal in which they introduced plastic pouches. But even that plastic pouch is 25 grams of plastic in a 1 liter pouch, which is still a lot more plastic than what you get in a ThePack carton. And on top of that, typically plastic pouches will not have any renewable or recyclable content over there. Whereas in plastic bottles, you're still able to find a certain level of recyclable content. So in summary, you see that it is a low plastic solution, but not only that, it is a solution which has a very high renewable content compared to the alternatives that are today used. Coming to the next key benefit. So from a logistics package, the fact that our cartons are square in their footprint means that you get a lot better palletization than some of the other alternatives out there. So if I compare it to a typical plastic HDP bottle that we saw on the market, you actually get 398 liters less per truck. Sorry, that's a typo. It should be per truck versus a ThePack. and you actually get more than twice the volume shipped out. When you compare that against a plastic pouch, even there is a significant benefit that you get with the better logistics of better palletization of a D-pack carton. Now, both the lack of plastic material use and the better logistics means that when we do a carbon footprint comparison of our packaging versus HDPE bottles as well as plastic pouches, that all feeds into the overall reduction in the carbon footprint. Now, we commissioned a study by Anthesis. I'm sure many of you must be familiar with the name Anthesis. They're an independent agency that is quite well reputed that carry out such life cycle assessment studies. And we not only did we get them to carry out this study independently, our study was also later on peer reviewed by independent experts in the industry to confirm the workings which Anthesis did. And the key results of that, as Dirk was mentioning a while ago, is that a 1 liter D-pack carton has 78% lower carbon footprint than a 1 liter polypropylene bottle, which is a huge amount of savings in the carbon footprint. And just to put that into perspective, in that wine bottle example, there was only a 4% saving possible with that lightweighting of the bottle. But it's not only against the heavy plastic bottles that you save in the carbon footprint. Even if you compare it against an plastic monolayer pouch, 1 liter, even there you get a 36% lower carbon footprint in comparison. So if you are looking to use refills as a strategy, then D-pack is clearly a better alternative than plastic pouches. If indeed your aim is to reduce the amount of plastic and reduce the carbon footprint. Now, of course, one of the questions which might be coming to your mind is that D-pack or a fiber-based packaging is not something that you really see in the supermarkets used for personal and home care categories. In one way, that can offer a huge benefit. That means because it means that you can really stand out on the retail shelves. But we have actually technically validated our packaging for a number of different home and personal care categories to make sure that it wouldn't leak or that it would maintain the product characteristics over time. But not only that, we've done extensive consumer studies, and also our customers who are filling in our packaging have also done those consumer studies. And what we find is that consumers are quite familiar with our packaging from other categories, primarily milk and juice, and they're actually very happy to use it for home and personal care categories. And we realized that the sort of volume requirements or the sort of application requirements are very different in these categories, which is why we offer a wide range of carton sizes ranging from 500 ml to 2 liter. And not only do you have these distinct carton sizes, it is also possible to underfill these cartons to achieve slightly different volume fills as well. So with that, I'm going to hand over back to Dirk, who will share with you some of the recent examples of customers that have taken advantage of our D-pack packaging solution. So Dirk, back over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So we are a Norwegian company, and I'm traveling quite often. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, then you see some of my reports, and here and there I'm of course doing store checks. And when you go through supermarkets in Scandinavia, then you quite often see the shelves of the home and personal care section half full with cartons. So what you do not necessarily see by now in Central Europe in Scandinavia, it has arrived in the shelf big time. And that has something to do that the early adopters and the first users of the carton in home and personal care are sitting in Scandinavia. And what you see here on the screen on the left-hand side, the 500 milliliter pack, for example, the Omo is one that you find in the shelves in Scandinavia. Omo is a brand pretty well known, and in Scandinavia, it's not only sold in 500 milliliter, it's sold up to a size of 1.5 liter. So almost the whole range is used here. But it's not only this. So a lot of other brands, when you do store checks in Europe, you find in the meantime in the carton. In Eastern Europe, for example, it is Twister that I saw in a Lidl store. On the left-hand bottom side, it's also a shampoo, it is a softener, it is a standard detergent, or on the very right-hand side, it's a windshield cleaner that is sold in a 2-liter pack, also in Scandinavia. And just recently, I hope you can see it on the video now. So we saw that Unilever has launched Persil and Surf and Comfort into the UK market. And we saw that in stores in the UK, but also in online sales. So this is the second multinational that has taken the carton from Elopak. And the other one I bought in Spain. It's a Ferry Max. You might recognize the brand. It's sold in a 1-liter pack. Also a nice example of using the Elopak carton in that segment. So we only started beginning of last year, so we are 1.5 years now bringing the carton into the home and personal care category. And only the last 2 days, there have been a PLMA in Amsterdam, and there was a lot of, let's say, traction and a lot of interest for the carton packaging for particularly that industry. And I believe we will see over the coming months much more examples and more SKUs in the shelves for home and personal care applications. So I believe that was a good overview that we did give you. Thanks a lot to my colleague, to Ali, and handing the word back to Paul.
Thank you very much, Dirk and Ali. We've got some great questions already in the Q&A, so I look forward to catching up with you in about 10 or 15 minutes or so. Okay, so let's look at some paper packet. So I should say that's from the last webinar. That should say carbon reduction innovation. Sorry. Right. So next up is Duo UK. They partnered with Oxfam Ireland to introduce a reusable and recyclable mailer bag made from bio-based and recycled materials aimed at promoting circularity in e-commerce and simplifying clothing donations. The initiative uses a mailing bag constructed from a blend of Brascom's sugarcane-derived green PE and recycled polyethylene. As the first consignment of these bags entered circulation in March this year, the project marks a first for Ireland's charity sector in using bio-based e-commerce packaging to support remote donations. The aim is to create a closed-loop solution that not only extends the life of donated garments, but also ensures the packaging used supports their environmental goals. The collaboration builds on Duo UK's earlier adoption of bio-based mailing materials, having first introduced green PE way back in 2014, so they're extending it to reuse. German packaging manufacturer Papax has partnered with Ukrainian hemp to create a dedicated, scalable supply chain for certified industrial hemp, aiming to offer a regional, regenerative value chain from cultivation to final fiber molding. The initiative positions hemp fiber as a sustainable alternative to wood pulp and plastic for packaging applications. According to Papax, hemp grows more rapidly than wood, requiring less energy for processing and can be cultivated locally, thereby reducing the environmental impact associated with traditional raw materials. The resulting packaging solutions, including trays, containers, capsules, and paper composites, are over 80% recyclable through the existing waste paper infrastructure. The hemp-based materials meet international hygiene standards required for primary packaging. The material is seen as particularly suited for use in the food sector, providing a versatile and sustainable packaging option. Additionally, hemp's rapid growth cycle and significant CO2 absorption capacity are noted by PAPAX as important environmental benefits. South Mills Chomps, a North American mushroom grower and supplier, has partnered with Sprouts Farmers Market to introduce bamboo-based trays for mushroom packaging in Denver, United States. The new packaging combines flow-wrapped bamboo trays with a perforated BOPP film. The bamboo packs are designed to offer a more sustainable alternative to conventional plastic containers, being reported to be recyclable, biodegradable, and made without fossil fuels or chemical coatings. Bamboo's natural properties, including rapid renewability, we'd seen that just earlier, heat resistance, and low moisture absorption, are highlighted as advantages. The BOPP's film's perforation promotes natural evaporation, intended to extend the shelf life of the mushrooms by reducing condensation and minimizing the risk of spoilage. UVA Health Pharmacy is transitioning from plastic to recyclable paper-based pill bottles in a bid to reduce waste and carbon emissions. The new containers, developed by Parcel Health, are branded as Tully Tub tubes and are constructed using 100% recyclable materials with a compostable paper core. These bottles are both child resistant and moisture resistant, aligning with standard safety requirements for the pharmaceutical packaging industry. Traditional plastic medicine bottles used by UVA Health are often not curbside recyclable and do not biodegrade, obviously, contributing to their reported long-term waste concerns. By contrast, the new paper bottles are reported to produce around 30% less carbon emissions compared to plastic alternatives. In 2024, UVA Health used over 600,000 plastic bottles. The switch to paper equivalents is estimated to reduce emissions by an amount comparable to avoiding 10 return flights from London to New York per person. Showing the vast range of the sort of different packaging innovations in the Innovation Zone platform. So here we have a very much a sort of secondary or even tertiary packaging initiative here from Dole Food Company. They've announced the expanded commercial use of Oxyfilm, a recyclable macro-perforated stretch film across its banana and pineapple operations in Latin America. The rollout will significantly reduce the use of conventional palletizing materials such as corner boards, plastic straps, and clamps, eliminating approximately 2.2 kilograms of traditional materials per pallet. This marks a considerable increase from the existing program, which currently saves a combined 7,480 kilograms of plastic weekly. By simplifying material recovery and eliminating hard-to-recycle corner boards, the solution addresses logistical and environmental inefficiencies in the supply chain. The Dole projects that the program will eliminate approximately 686,000 kilograms or 1.5 million pounds of palletization material annually. Vanity Group is an international supplier of toiletries and cosmetics in the hospitality industry, and they've introduced a new refillable packaging format aimed at reducing plastic waste and improving operational efficiency in hotels. Named Clean Charge, the innovation is part of the company's Mindful Beauty project and is designed as a dual-purpose amenity format that offers two refill options, a lightweight 5-gram pouch and an inner bottle replacement system. Both formats are made from recycled materials and are claimed to be 100% recyclable. The pouch is currently the lightest available on the market, offering a substantial reduction in material usage compared to conventional refill systems. According to the company, a 150-room hotel can reduce its plastic waste by up to 93% by switching to this new format. Ukrainian startup S-Lab has developed a biodegradable packaging material made from industrial hemp stems and mushroom mycelium, offering an alternative to expanded polystyrene, EPS. The material, which mimics the properties of foam in terms of lightness and durability, is fully compostable and reportedly decomposes in soil within 30 days. The innovation was inspired by the founder's experience witnessing plastic pollution during a visit to Bali. According to the company, traditional foam packaging generates over 2 million tons annually, contributing to approximately 12 million tons of CO2 emissions and occupying 30% of landfill space, giving its non-recyclable nature and reported 300-year decomposition timeline. Hazel Technologies has introduced a new packaging solution for transporting broccoli that eliminates the need for ice, aiming to reduce food safety risks, transport costs, and of course the environmental impact with the CO2 emission, not having to transport, freeze and then transport the ice. The innovation uses breatheway membrane technology to create a modified atmosphere around the palletized broccoli, replacing the traditional practice of packing ice directly into waxed cardboard boxes. The system involves replacing a breathable membrane bag over an entire pallet rather than individual boxes, which also simplifies logistics and reduces the amount of plastic and labor required. And last up, before we move to the Q&A, is from Voga Italia, a brand under the US-based innovation brands. They've introduced an updated packaging design for its Pinot Grigio wine variant. The new design features this again. We started with an alcohol glass lightweighting initiative, and we're going to end with one. So this is a 20% lighter glass bottle, so a significantly lighter example than the champagne one that we showed earlier, reducing the case weight by approximately 1.36 kilograms and the pallet weight by around 78 kilograms, which is quite significant. It's about my weight, actually. This reduction aims to lower the carbon emissions associated with transport, particularly via ocean freight. In addition to the weight reduction, the packaging now includes a resealable screw cap closure that replaces the previous synthetic cork. This change is intended to enhance convenience for casual consumers by offering easier opening and reclosing. The new bottle continues to house the wine made from grapes grown in the Del Venezia DOC region, noted for its cool climate and material-rich soil. So that's an interesting lightweighting initiative, and lightweighting has been going on really since operators recognized the opportunity for cost savings rather than sustainability many years ago, and it continues. Obviously, the advantages and the amount of lightweighting is diminishing over time as bottles get lighter. So, right, let's get some questions to the Elopak team. I'm going to stop sharing so that we can see you properly. Excellent. So we've got lots of questions. I will start from the top. So can the DPACs be offered for recycling? So I think that's a really good question around the recyclability of your solutions. We talked about the carbon footprint reductions, but can you talk a little bit about the recyclability, please?
Are you taking this, Ali?
Yeah, I can take this. In general, the carton is designed to be recyclable. Mm-hmm. All materials can be recycled, but of course, the question is what is happening actually in the market. And this is a topic which is really very specific to the country that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But if I talk about the UK, then cartons are today already being recycled. In terms of collection, today in about 69% of the local authorities across the UK, the cartons can be collected through your home collection bins, which is the service offered by your local councils or local authorities. And then in a further around 25% of the local authorities, they are bring banks available either at a convenient supermarket or at the local recycling center where you can bring your cartons to be collected for recycling. However, that's the situation today, but I'm sure many of you must be aware that DEFRA have recently announced a new legislation by the name of Simpler Recycling. And for households, that is going to come into play from April 2026. And I'm very happy to inform you that liquid cartons have actually been put on the mandatory collection list under the Simpler Recycling legislation, which means that latest by 1st of April 2026, it will be legally mandatory for all local authorities to start collecting cartons from your household recycling bins. So that is absolutely, the future from that perspective from recycling couldn't be any better, in the sense that it's definitely going to be recycled from all corners of the UK. Where does it go for recycling? So it typically goes to paper mills, and there is we have a specialized facility in Halifax, which is a joint venture with Sunoco Alcor, where the fibers are extracted for use to manufacture other products, other cores for either industrial use or even consumer use, like the bistro cans in which you might be buying your gravy granules or Pringle tubes, for example. Those are the kind of applications of the fibers that are used, and the non-fiber elements are then sent to another facility in Cheshire where they're combined with wood waste and used for outdoor materials. So a bit of a lengthy question, but in a nutshell, yes, cartons are being recycled in the UK, and similarly across Europe, it may be different ways or different uses of the material, but by and large, across Europe, it is generally being recycled.
Excellent. And you're seeing a movement towards more recycling capability around the world for the format.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's more and more investment to increase the amount of recycling material that is collected and recycled.
Excellent. Another question around recyclability. I think you touched on this towards the end of your answer. So what happens with the different materials with the recycling? Is the process, are they easy to recycle, to separate in terms of the process? And is the recycled material used for new packaging, or what is the material used for?
Maybe I take that, Ali.
Sure.
So we have a good example in Germany how we do that. So 100% of the households can or have a separate collection system for these carton materials, and then the carton goes into a special paper mill where the paper is separated from the rest, and the rest is plastic or aluminium. That is the content of the carton, and the paper will be worked into new paper rolls, and this is used for a new application, so a new paper for other applications. And the rest, it's the so-called aluminium plastic part, and this goes to a separate stream where the aluminium is separated from the plastic, and the plastic is then separated into the different plastic components, so that at the end of this process, you receive granulate out of the different plastic material and also aluminium back. And this then goes back also into new applications and into new products. So when you look to countries where this system is in place, like in Germany and in other European countries, then you can say that you have almost, not completely, but almost 100% of your carton being recycled.
Okay. Excellent. And you're recycling valuable materials that have a value at the end of it. Excellent. Yeah.
Yes.
Talking of value, can you talk a little bit about the sort of the cost difference between plastic and carton packaging? Does carton packaging offer a cost advantage over plastic bottles?
Well, there was also one question in the chat, right? This is asking about how are the cartons delivered to a factory or to a producer. Mm-hmm. And the good answer here is that the carton is not delivered like this. So in a popped up carton, it comes like a flat blank.
Yep.
And therefore, there are almost 20,000 of these 1 liter cartons on one pallet. If you compare that with a plastic bottle in the same size, there's something like 800 bottles on one pallet. So you have the difference between 20,000 to 800, which is, of course, an enormous benefit when you look to the logistics alone. Outbound logistic, when you have finally in the filling machine filled and sealed the carton and it's ready, like with this one, with the Persil product, it goes on a pallet. And also on the outbound logistic, you save something like 50%. So you get 50% more out of these cartons on a pallet compared with a plastic bottle. So to the question cost-wise, when you compare the full TCO, then you have a huge advantage with the carton packaging compared to plastic material.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Question from the Q&A, obviously. What's Elopak's next move in replacing plastics, particularly if I think not just the actual pack, but closures and barriers, and also meeting the various new regulations that are coming down the line?
Yeah, maybe there. I just had the pack in my hand, so the closure from that pack is made from paper. This is not an actual product from the shelf, but I just have it here as an sample. So this closure, and this is what we are working on, will find a way to not only the home and personal care cartons, but also to the food segment and also to the food carton. So what Elopak is working on heavily, and there was also one question in the chat that I already answered. Yes, in not so far future, we will see paper closures on our cartons as an answer to the further reduction of the carbon emission.
Okay, I wonder where that question went. You've answered it. Thank you very much. Great question around shelf life comparisons. So can you talk through sort of the shelf life comparison between a PET bottle and the cartons? And a similar question around barrier values, actually. So that there may be a
maybe I take it. So there was also one question: is there an aluminium barrier needed for home and personal care application? And I answered that in the chat, saying that when I look to our more than 200 SKUs that we have in the meantime in that segment, we have only 5% with aluminium barrier. The rest is without aluminium barrier. So we can say that for most of the products, be it detergents or softeners or soap or mouthwash or surface cleaners, we do not need the aluminium barrier. And the future, we are working on even making the, let's say, the PE barrier that we have in our carton even better and stronger. I believe that there is a way out of the aluminium barrier to 100%. Shelf life comparison. So you have basically the same shelf life that you have with plastic bottles. So if you fill into a carton or in a plastic bottle, should not change the shelf life of your product.
Okay, excellent. I've got a brilliant question here, which is not around sustainability, which often the subject centers around. This is about accessibility. So the person asking the question said they've had a few juice cartons recently from major supermarkets with plastic fittings which are horrible to open. Anyone with arthritis in the hands would not be able to open. Are you able to? Do you recognise that as a challenge? Are you looking to ways to make the packs more accessible for the market?
Ali, do you like to elaborate on that?
I mean, is it a known industry pain point for you? I suppose is the first sort of part of the answer.
I would say, I mean, when we design our closures, we do extensively test them with consumers to make sure that they're suitable for a wide range of consumers, not just young children, let's say average age adults, but also senior adults as well. And so we do make sure that anytime we introduce a new product, that it is properly validated. I see in the question that somebody has had let's say, not a very good experience with the opening of the closure, but all I can say is that they might be an isolated incident over there. We've not generally had any feedback or, let's say, questions related to the ease of opening the closure. So if that person would like to maybe get in touch with me, then we can try and answer that specific sort of
Okay.
incident.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer, Ali. Excellent. Last question, which is around co-packing. Really, really interesting question here. Is the packaging format also available for startups via co-packing or co-packers?
Oh, this is a question that we receive a lot. Yeah. So also particularly yesterday and the day before at the PLMA, when smaller companies are coming to us and I have this product, how do I get that into this very sustainable carton? And the answer to this is pretty straightforward. We have in the meantime 4 co-fillers qualified in Europe that are able to take smaller batches, mid-sized batches, or even larger batches of products to be filled in the cartons. They have filling equipment from Elopak installed, they are qualified, and they can take the orders. So any request, maybe also from people here in that call, send me a direct message or to Ali, and then we can bring you together and connect you with the co-fillers.
Excellent. Right. That was so interesting. We've run out of time, so 1 minute to the hour. So thank you very much, Dirk and Ali, for your time. We will get the outputs and the video recording to all registrants as soon as possible. Our next webinar is on Thursday, the 26th of June. More information on that will be released next Wednesday. So thank you all very much for attending. Thank you, Ali and Dirk, for an excellent presentation, and see you all again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Bye-bye.